Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Zah back at you real quick. Anyways, man, what I really want to get into today, besides the fact of my video yesterday, which was about Kim Star, I know a lot of people are not really up on that guy, but if you're one of those that like to explore YouTube, you'll get a general idea of that guy and what his thoughts on a lot of things are about. But that's besides the point. I also would like to say that I really don't harbor any ill will towards that guy. I don't know him. I just didn't like some of the things he said. But besides the point, he might not be that type of person in real life. That might just be his general persona. As far as like on YouTube, like people that know me know I'm the way I am on here is the way I am on the streets. You know what I mean? Respectful, but when I'm disrespected, I disrespect back. But that's besides the point. What I really want to get into is basically what the people been asking for in the streets, and that's basically to defund the police station. And not any general police station, just all of them, like just one SWAT. And that right there, I really don't understand, if simply for the fact that if you take away uh the police ability to protect your communities, then you're basically pushing for anarchy and a lawless environment. And I know for a lot of us that have been in the game for a long time, and it's like, oh man, if no cops on the block, like we could do this, we can do that. But understand, for us that have been on the street and are used to that particular type of environment, it's gonna be, peachy cream is whatever. We're gonna do what we do. Me personally, I'm out of it, but for the people that are still heavily involved in the streets, they're gonna be fine. But what you don't understand is the fact that your mom, your dad, your cousins, the ones that don't involve themselves in such things, are probably the ones that's going to end up being the victims in the end. So you gotta kind of play devil's advocate. In one way, it's good for people that may be into criminal things, but for the people that are just the regular citizens that may not be the type to tote guns and do things of that nature, or might end up being the victims in the end. But also the fact that you could end up being a victim from somebody that is a law-abiding citizen toting weapons. Don't get me wrong, with this, everything that's going on right now, man, everybody's basically being exposed, as far as like the people that are just, they're so racist that they can't really suppress the fact that they don't like people out there, protesting. Even the ones that are doing the peaceful protest, they just don't like it because it goes against their agenda. But that's besides the point. All I'm saying is, if you defund the police, then in a lot of cases it's gonna come back to bite a lot of people. And like I said, if you're thugging in the street, it don't really matter, because a lot of us live on that edge anyway. But for the people that don't partake in that particular way of doing things, they're the ones that's gonna suffer. And like I said, if a cop don't come save you from some gun toting citizen that feel like they can take your life, they basically doing the same thing that the cops would do. And don't be looking for the cops to protect you. And another thing I just wanted to say before I show you an article on why I say defunding the police are really not a good thing, is because they're moving in a way that's going to take a lot of shields, that they're going to take away a lot of things that have been shielding them in the past. But I'll go into this particular bill and this act that they've come with. But for the people that constantly, like when I said something like I don't believe all cops are bad, I was saying like it's something that I believe because I've seen it. I'm not gonna get in the picture and photo out with them like some of these individuals. I've seen cats say F the police a million times, but now I'm starting to see you on IG and other platforms taking pictures with them. Don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, that's your thing, but keep the same energy. If you say F them, it's F them. It's not playing, oh, I'm gonna play to this to get a photo op. Just keep that same energy. That's all I'm saying. But that's besides the point, man. I'm gonna go into what I wanted to show you. So on that note, yes. Yeah, what up? It's your boys back. Anyways, I'm not too savvy on the computer as far as like different scenes. I think it takes a lot of time when I can just do it the simple way. And basically what I really wanted to show the people that are pushing to have all the funds taken from their law officials or whatever, the police. And I told you basically why it wouldn't be a good thing. But understand, people are hot right now, and people are looking for blood. For the people that just came to this channel that might not understand, I'm not trying to advocate for police. I'm in fact an ex-con, so I mean that would be you know, kind of whatever, but I'm also smart enough to be able to speak and think for myself, and knowing that if you take away funding from the police, you're gonna create anarchy. And don't get me wrong, all these cops that are boo-hooing and turning in their badge, I can't do this job, it's too stressful, people are painting us in a bad light. You chose to put yourself in that light because the people that were doing with a particular officer were dirty, which, you know, most cops are gonna know who's dirty and who's not. They don't just portray that type of stuff on TV for no reason. It's just because that's how it is. That's why they have that oversight that watches them, which is Eternal Affairs. But Eternal Affairs are constantly stonewalled by dirty cops, and even the ones that aren't dirty cops, they feel obliged to want to protect the ones that are dirty, because it's like us, ain't no snitching, you know what I mean? So it's basically, you have to roll with your group, and you know, and the ones that do turn out to be stool pigeons, you know, it gets bad for them. So yeah, but basically this is what qualified immunity, this is what they have. And this is what they're trying to get rid of, which is, it's a legal doctrine in United States federal law that shields government officials from being sued for disciplinary actions performed within their official capacity, unless their actions violate clearly established federal laws or constitutional rights. You notice he said clearly, or she, whatever, clearly established. There's a gray area in between there, and that's what these are the type of loopholes they tend to run through. Now, if you want the whole law, like I said, you can look on Wikipedia, or you can go to these other various sites that I've been on looking, and basically I went on it just to find out exactly what the name of the law was, and it's ending qualified immunity. This law is not, this abolition of this law is backed by Republicans, some Republicans, the liberals, and the libertarians. And if you know anything about libertarians, they're basically like, get it on your own. Every man earns by his own merit. There's nothing given for free. So, you know what I mean? That's a big step. And there is, I think, 6 organizations of libertarians backing this particular bill, because they see what has been going on. It's been one of those things that they've considered shady a long time ago. But like I said, it's your law enforcement, so they protect your neighborhoods. But unfortunately, there's a lot of dirty cops that have a different way of doing things. You've seen with Rampart how they were doing the homies like that, because they knew that we couldn't talk about it as far as go point fingers, because it's a no regardless. But anyways, this particular I got this off of Patriot Act. They don't, on Patriot Act, the show off of Netflix, he doesn't give you any particular details on what the act is. I chose to look it up myself, because I felt that people really needed to know what was out there and what they need to go vote in legislation, basically. You know what I mean? Look for this law, find out when they're gonna put it out, or when they're voting on it, and get it. You see, it's so easy just to Google it. You know what I mean? But it says, any qualified immunity act, it protects cops from lawsuits, and it holds them to a different standard than us. This one right here, I just wrote down a few notes. It says, qualified immunity act, the bill would eliminate the ability of police officers to argue and act in good faith, to argue they acted in good faith when they violated somebody's constitutional rights. That right there is a big thing. It also allows police to be sued for enforcing a law if the law is subsequently changed. But what they don't understand is they also need to put in here stipulations, is that when you do go at the police officers, especially in Los Angeles, they tend to want to come to your residence and drive by and try to intimidate, you know. And for somebody that has been incarcerated, or may have had that has maybe even a small criminal record, when you're dealing with the police and you've had a record before, it's so easy for them to want to plant something. It's a lot of ways for them to maneuver to put you in a position to where your statement or whatever is bad. You know what I mean? And so, and even if, and let me take that back, for the average gangster or whatever, can't make statements, but you can speak for yourself. But it says several current Supreme Court justices have expressed concerns about qualified immunity, and that's that's what really got the ball rolling, outside of the fact that, you know, unfortunately somebody died in order to make this all come about. But it says the sanctioning of shooting, they're revoking the thought of sanctioning of shooting first, think later approach to policing. and get rid of the absolute shield. But like I said, I'm not gonna talk too much on it. I just wanted to read something from this particular post right here just to give you a general idea. It's from a site called Reason. I haven't really went to this, but I've went to numerous sites that pretty much spoke on the same thing. So hopefully, you know, this is the guy right there. Hopefully they don't copyright this or whatever, but this is going to, it says, with one Republican co-sponsor, Representative Justin Amash gains tripartisan support to end the qualified immunity. I'm just gonna read this and then I'm gonna pretty much end it at that. It says, for the first time in U.S. congressional history, a bill supports support from a libertarian Democratic Republican coalition of lawmakers, introducing Representative Justin Amash, Michigan. The Ending Qualified Immunity Act seeks to squash legal doctrine that allow public officials to violate your civil rights with impunity. And for the people that don't know about impunity, it's basically just to do it without any type of consequence to it. You know what I mean? Just like without worry, if those rights have not been met, clearly established. Once again, the gray area. Oh, well, that wasn't exactly written or worded like that, so that gives me a loophole. By pre-existing case law, it is a sense of Congress that must correct the erroneous interpretation of Section 1983, which provides for qualified immunity and reiterates the standard found on the face of the statute. The bill reads, which does not limit the ability of the basis of defendant's good faith belief, or on the basis that the right was not clearly established at the time of violation. Representative Tom McClintock, I don't know, I just had the guy's name right here, Republican of California, well, a Republican from California, signed onto the co-sponsor joining Republic, Ayanna Pressley. Basically, you can read all that, but basically, let's just get into, so we can get it over with. Democratic legislation which would support Amash legislation, the death of George Floyd, an unarmed black man who had been killed by the former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, prompted the Republican lawmaker to back the bill. It should be more to it. Whatever the motive, the killer of George Floyd had 18 complaints for misconduct, and on his accomplice had 6. And one of his accomplices had 6. Why such misconduct tolerated by big city police departments, he asked. It is because the doctrine of qualified immunity shields corrupt officials from accountability for a wide range of crimes. Qualified immunity was never meant to shield police officers from actual crimes, it supports a sordid history of doing just that. The clearly established standard referred to by Amash in his bill has become increasingly Herculean task to meet, as I wrote early today. And then basically the House of HODIS 2020 in U.S. Court Appeals for the Sixth Circuit gave qualified immunity to 2 officials for alleged assault and arrest a man on bogus charges for the crime of standing outside of his own house. There was also the sheriff deputy in Coffee County, Georgia, who shot a 10-year-old boy while aiming a non-threatening dog. The cop in Los Angeles who shot a 15-year-old boy on his way to school because a child friend had a plastic gun, and the 2 cops in Fresno, California, who allegedly stole $225,000 while executing a search warrant. The cops in those cases receive protection under legal doctrine because the judiciary had not yet established the near identical terms of those actions that the action were unconstitutional. In other words, officers needed clearly notice to know, for example, that stealing is wrong. That's just them being basically sarcastic, but basically you already see. I'll run through it. You can pretty much read what you want to read. If you need me to drop a link to another article that I had came across in search of when this bill would actually go to the House, or if it's already in the House, yeah. So basically on that note, man, I'm just gonna give you my last little thoughts on that, and hopefully people will understand. Anyways, so basically, like I said, I'm not too savvy when it comes to computers as far as like doing the scenes from here to here. So I just chose to do it the easy way. But basically, you already get a general idea of what I'm trying to say and why I'm talking about this particular subject. Like I said, I'm not in agreement to the defunding of the police force, if simple for the fact that, you know, people such as my mom and like other family members that have never participated in the same activities such as I have participated in. Sorry, I'm tired, but you know, they shouldn't have to suffer because a few of us would like to see things a lot easier on the street. But understand, if you defund the police officer, you know, it's gonna get grimy. I mean, in New York, what, it was like 300 murders before they decided to put all those cops out there. It's one of them things. It's like a catch-22. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Now, if you really want to change anything, take your ass to them voting polls. Find out when they're doing this legislation. Look at this bill in particular. Read up on it. Search it up. Find out when they're actually doing it and go vote on it. Vote for it, because that's the only thing that's really going to change anything. Defunding the police are not going to do nothing. It's going to make you feel good for a second, but it's going to be anarchy on the street. And a lot of people that haven't got victimized because the police present are going to get victimized. Trust me. Is, you know what I mean? That's one of the things that when I was young, I probably would have loved. The simple fact that knowing that I could do something and not worry about the cop coming by 5 minutes later. And when you're in the ghetto or you're in a particular area that it's a lot of minorities, the cops are coming through pretty frequently. You know what I mean? It's not like in the suburbs. But yeah, that's besides the point. Like I said, it's ending qualified immunity. Look that bill up and find out when you can vote on it. And that's basically my thoughts on it. Sorry if this video was so long. Like I said, people usually come to my channel because I'm controversial and I like to talk a lot, but I'm about my business. But this is like, it's time to elevate and you know, and grow up a little bit and talk about subjects that actually affect the, you know. And sometimes, you know, I'll be back and forth on what I feel to talk about, and as long as people continue to support, I'll continue to talk about it. But for the people that are new to my channel, man, if you can subscribe, drop a like, even a dislike, drop it in the comments why you felt this video wasn't worth watching, or if it actually helped you in some way. And let's run these numbers up, you know what I mean? And on that note, I'm your boy Zod, and